They were the faces of danger, intrigue, and espionage in Mission Impossible, 1966. 1973, the groundbreaking spy series that captivated millions. But what became of the stars who once defied death on screen? Did fame protect them, or did real life write a darker script? Some found glory, others tragedy. Yet many are no longer with us, who survived and who vanished into history's shadows. Stephen Hill, born on February 24th, 1922 in Seattle, became an unforgettable television icon when he portrayed Dan Briggs, the first leader of the Impossible Missions Force, in the opening season of Mission Impossible 1966. At the time, he was 44 years old, carrying the authority and gravitas of a seasoned actor, though his time on the show was cut short. Before this role, Hill had built a reputation as a serious performer, having appeared in films such as A Lady Without Passport 1950 and The Goddess 1958. Later, he found renewed fame as District Attorney Adam Schiff on Law and Order, cementing his legacy. Yet Hill's life was not without turmoil. His strict observance of Orthodox Judaism conflicted with the grueling television schedule of Mission Impossible, forcing him to leave the series after just one season. This departure was seen as both a professional setback and a personal tragedy, closing off what might have been a defining chapter of his career. Beyond the screen, his journey was marked by periods of financial uncertainty, and despite later success, he never attained the level of Hollywood wealth often associated with long careers. His estimated net worth at its peak was around $8 million. In his personal life, Hill experienced both joy and heartbreak. Married twice, he fathered 9 children, but the demands of faith, career, and family created constant strain. His real estate holdings were modest compared to other stars he owned, comfortable residences rather than palatial estates. Hill passed away on August 23, 2016, at the age of 94 from natural causes. His death marked the end of a career filled with brilliance, conflict, and resilience. He remains remembered as the man who first set the tone for one of television's greatest spy dramas. Martin Landau, born on June 20, 1928 in Brooklyn, carved his name into television history with his unforgettable portrayal of Roland Hand, the suave and versatile master of disguise in Mission Impossible. When he first appeared on the show in 1966, Landau was 38 years old, already recognized for his magnetic presence on screen. His ability to slip into countless personas not only defined his character, but also turned Roland Hand into one of the most beloved figures of the series. Landau's career stretched far beyond Mission Impossible. He starred in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest 1959, the cult series Space 1999, and later delivered an Academy Award-winning performance as Bela Lugosi in Ed Wood 1994. But success did not come without turbulence. He initially struggled in Hollywood, often typecast or overlooked, leading to years of frustration. His departure from Mission Impossible after disputes over contracts and salary marked a painful career setback, one that sent him into a difficult professional slump during the 1970s. For a time, roles dwindled and his finances suffered. Personally, Landau's life was equally complex. He was married to actress Barbara Bain, his co-star on Mission Impossible, and together they had 2 daughters. Yet the pressures of Hollywood and personal differences led to their divorce in 1993 after more than 3 decades together. The split was a devastating blow, both emotionally and financially, dividing property and shaking his stability. At the height of his career, his net worth was estimated around $10 million with comfortable real estate investments in Los Angeles, though far from the extravagant mansions of other stars. Martin Landau passed away on July 15, 2017, at the age of 89 due to complications from unexpected internal bleeding. His death closed the chapter on a life of brilliance, reinvention, and resilience. Today, he is remembered as a man who transformed adversity into artistry, and as the face of endless disguises that captivated audiences worldwide. Greg Morris, the iconic Barney Collier, in Mission Impossible 1966-1973. Born on September 27, 1933 in Cleveland, Ohio, Greg Morris became an unforgettable figure in television history through his role as Barney Collier, the brilliant electronics expert in Mission Impossible. When the series first aired in 1966, Morris was 33 years old, bringing a combination of intelligence, calm charisma, and technical mastery to the IMF team. His character was admired not only for his skills, but also for breaking racial barriers in primetime television, making him a symbol of representation and sophistication during a turbulent era in American culture. Beyond Mission Impossible, Morris appeared in several notable projects, including Vegas 1978-1981, where he played Lieutenant David Nelson, and guest roles in popular series like The Love Boat and Murder, She Wrote. Despite his steady career, he faced setbacks as Hollywood typecast him in limited roles, making it difficult to fully escape the shadow of Barney Collier. His later years in acting were marked by frustration with the industry's treatment of black actors, which became a painful reality he could never quite overcome. Financially, Morris earned well during his television peak, with his net worth later estimated around $2 million. However, personal struggles clouded his life. His marriage to Lee Morris ended in divorce in 1979 after years of strain, and though he had 3 children, including actor Phil Morris, who followed in his footsteps, family life was not without turbulence. Biographically, his story reflects both triumph and tragedy, as professional acclaim clashed with personal disappointments. In his final years, Morris battled lung cancer. He passed away on August 27, 1996, at the age of 62 in Las Vegas, Nevada. His death was mourned deeply by fans who had grown up admiring Barney Collier's brilliance. Though gone, his legacy endures as a pioneer who helped reshape television, proving that intelligence and dignity could shine on screen without stereotype. Leonard Nimoy, born March 26, 1931 in Boston, Massachusetts, remains one of the most iconic actors of the 20th century, best known as Mr. Spock in Star Trek. Yet between Starship voyages, he also left a notable mark on Mission Impossible, 1966, 1973. Nimoy joined the series in 1969 after Martin Landau's departure, stepping into the role of Paris, a master of disguise magician and IMF operative. At the time, he was 38 years old, already a household name thanks to Star Trek, and his presence gave the show a renewed spark. As Paris, Nimoy blended charm, wit, and subtle menace, proving himself equally skilled at infiltration and deception, while also showing audiences he could succeed outside the Vulcan ears of Spock. Beyond Mission Impossible, Nimoy's career spanned decades across acting, directing, and writing. His acting credits include Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978 Fringe, 2009-2012, and, of course, numerous Star Trek films. He also became a respected director, helming Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, 1984, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, 1986, as well as the blockbuster 3 Men and a Baby, 1987. Despite these triumphs, Nimoy faced personal frustrations. He battled typecasting after Star Trek at one point, writing an autobiography titled I Am Not Spock, 1975, which caused controversy among fans who mistook it as a rejection of his beloved character. Decades later, he reconciled with the role and his legacy in another book, I Am Spock, 1995. In his personal life, Nimoy experienced turbulence. He married actress Sandra Zober in 1954, and they had 2 children, but their marriage ended in divorce after more than 30 years, reportedly strained by his struggles with alcoholism and the pressures of fame. He later married actress Susan Bay in 1989, and that union lasted until his death. His family life reflected both love and hardship, including the difficulties of balancing celebrity with stability at home. Financially, Nimoy was highly successful. By the later years of his life, his net worth was estimated around $45 million, the result of his acting, directing, writing, photography, and voice work. He owned property in Los Angeles and spent his final years in comfort pursuing artistic passions like poetry and photography. Sadly, Nimoy died on February 27, 2015, at the age of 83 from complications of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, a result of years of smoking earlier in life. His death was mourned worldwide as fans remembered not only Spock but also Paris of Mission Impossible, the director, the poet, and the man who helped shape modern science fiction. Joseph Ruskin, the versatile guest star of Mission Impossible, 1966-1973. Joseph Ruskin, born on April 14, 1924, in Haverhill, Massachusetts, was one of television's most recognizable character actors, remembered for his chameleon-like ability to portray spies, villains, and mysterious figures. On Mission Impossible, Ruskin appeared multiple times in guest roles, often embodying cunning antagonists whose sharp intellect and deceptive charm tested the IMF team. He first joined the series in the late 1960s when he was in his mid-40s, bringing a distinctive presence that made his characters memorable despite not being a series regular. His career extended far beyond Mission Impossible. Ruskin became a familiar face in television classics including The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, Star Trek the original series, and later multiple series in the Star Trek franchise. He also appeared in films such as Precy's Honor, 1985, and Smokin' Aces, 2006. Despite this prolific resume, Hollywood rarely offered him leading roles, a professional frustration that left him typecast as a secondary figure. A biographical irony considering his immense talent. Financially, Joseph Ruskin maintained stability with an estimated net worth of about $1.2 million. He was also a deeply respected union leader, serving as a board member of the Screen Actors Guild, where he tirelessly defended the rights of working actors. Yet his life was not free from setbacks. The lack of recognition for his craft often weighed on him, and while he worked consistently, the industry's failure to fully reward his range stood as a quiet tragedy in his career. In his private life, Ruskin was more discreet. He married once, though the relationship ended in divorce, and he had no children. This solitary personal path gave his life an aura of mystery similar to many of the characters he portrayed. His later years were spent in Southern California, where he owned a modest home, rather than lavish estates, preferring privacy to celebrity luxury. Joseph Ruskin passed away on December 28, 2013, in Santa Monica, California, at the age of 89 from natural causes. Though his death was peaceful, his life story carried the bittersweet weight of a man who gave decades to television and film, yet never received the full spotlight. Still, his enduring roles in Mission Impossible and beyond ensure that his face and the aura of intrigue he brought will never be forgotten. Albert Paulson, the unforgettable villain of Mission Impossible, 1966. 1973. Albert Paulson born. Albert Paulson, on December 13, 1925, in Guayaquil, Ecuador, became one of television's most memorable guest stars thanks to his chilling and intelligent portrayals of villains. On Mission Impossible, Paulson appeared in multiple episodes between the late 1960s and early 1970s, often cast as sophisticated, ruthless antagonists. He was in his early 40s when he first joined the series, and his sharp features, accented speech, and commanding presence made him a natural fit for characters that exuded both menace and elegance. For many fans, Paulson's villains were as integral to the suspense of the show as the IMF team itself. His acting career stretched across both stage and screen. Paulson appeared in Broadway productions such as Camino Real and The Deputy, and he was also featured in films like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., 1964, Von Ryan's Express, 1965, and The Next Man, 1976. On television, he was a frequent guest star in dramas like Perry Mason, The FBI, and Hawaii Five-0. Despite his undeniable talent, Paulson often found himself confined to villainous roles, a typecasting that frustrated him as it limited his artistic range. This became one of the central struggles of his career, a man capable of far more than Hollywood was willing to let him show. Financially, Paulson earned a respectable living with his net worth, later estimated at around $1.2 million. He was known to have lived modestly compared to other actors of his era, owning a comfortable home in Los Angeles, rather than indulging in Hollywood extravagance. His personal life, however, was marked by turbulence. He went through a divorce, and though he largely kept his private affairs out of the spotlight, the strain of failed relationships and the instability of an acting career weighed heavily on him. By the 1990s, Paulson's health began to decline. He passed away on April 25, 2004, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 78 from undisclosed causes believed to be related to health complications from aging. His death closed the chapter on a career defined by intensity, intelligence, and a magnetic presence that made audiences believe in the power of a truly formidable adversary. Though never a household name, Albert Paulson remains an iconic figure in television history, especially to fans of Mission Impossible. His performances stand as a reminder of how character actors, often unsung, bring richness and depth to the worlds we see on screen. Arthur Botanides, born on April 9, 1922 in Tacoma, Washington, built a long career as a dependable character actor whose face was instantly recognizable to television audiences of the 1960s and 1970s. On Mission Impossible, he appeared in guest roles usually cast as cunning officials, shady operatives, or men entangled in dangerous conspiracies. When he first stepped onto the set in the late 1960s, Botanides was in his mid-40s, bringing an air of authority and tension that made his appearances stand out even when he was not the central villain. Outside Mission Impossible, Botanides had a steady career in Hollywood, appearing in films like The Maltese Bippy, 1969, and most famously as Mr. Kirkland in the Police Academy series during the 1980s. He was also a prolific television guest star with roles in Star Trek the original series Perry Mason Hawaii, 5-0 The Twilight Zone, and Happy Days. Though he rarely received starring roles, his consistency and ability to inhabit diverse supporting characters gave him a reputation as a reliable and respected actor. Financially, Botanides earned comfortably throughout his career, with his net worth estimated around $1 million. Unlike some of his peers, he avoided lavish Hollywood excess and preferred a private lifestyle. His personal life, however, was not without shadows. He experienced failed relationships and never enjoyed the stability of a high-profile Hollywood marriage. Records suggest he remained largely private about his family life, and there is no evidence of children. This solitude often paralleled the darker, more isolated characters he played on screen. Despite professional success, his later years were marked by declining opportunities as Hollywood shifted toward younger stars and left many older character actors sidelined. For Botanides, this transition was a quiet tragedy. He had the skill, but the industry's ageism and typecasting limited his opportunities. Arthur Botanides died on January 10, 2000, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 77. While the cause of death was not widely publicized, it was linked to natural health complications. At the time of his passing, he left behind a legacy of memorable supporting roles that continue to resonate with fans of classic television and film. Though not a leading man, Botanides embodied the backbone of Hollywood, the character actors who gave richness to every scene. His work in Mission Impossible and beyond is a reminder of how essential these performances are in shaping the world's audiences never forget. John Vernon, born on February 24, 1932 in Zener, Saskatchewan, Canada, became one of the most recognizable character actors of his generation, remembered for his commanding presence and chilling portrayals of villains. In the legendary television series Mission Impossible 1966, 1973, Vernon appeared in guest roles often cast as cunning dictators, powerful masterminds, or ruthless adversaries to the IMF team. When he first stepped into the world of Mission Impossible in the late 1960s, he was in his mid-30s, already radiating an aura of authority that made him a natural fit for the series' sinister figures. His performance gave the show an added sense of danger, as audiences knew that any character Vernon played would be formidable, manipulative, and nearly impossible to outsmart. Beyond Mission Impossible, Vernon built a vast career in Hollywood, starring in films like Animal House 1978, where his role as Dean Wormer became iconic, as well as Dirty Harry 1971 and Topaz 1969. Yet despite his success, his career was not without setbacks. There were periods in the 1980s when Hollywood roles grew scarce, forcing him into typecasting always the villain, rarely the hero. This limited his range on screen, a professional frustration he struggled with throughout his life. In his personal life, Vernon faced difficulties as well. He married actress Nancy West, with whom he had 2 children, including daughter Kate Vernon, who would also become an actress. However, the marriage ended in divorce, leaving scars in his private world. While not surrounded by notorious scandals, his life reflected the quiet struggles of a man, often defined by the menacing roles he played, rather than the person he truly was. At the time of his passing, John Vernon's net worth was estimated around $5 million, accumulated from decades of steady work in film and television. Sadly, he died on February 1, 2005 in Westwood, California, from complications after heart surgery. He was 72 years old. In death as in life, John Vernon remains a symbol of the classic Hollywood villain, magnetic, unforgettable, and deeply human beneath the mask of menace. Steve Enot, born August 7, 1934 in Czechoslovakia, was an actor whose intensity and striking presence made him a perfect fit for the tense, dramatic world of Mission Impossible, 1966, 1973. On the show, Enot often appeared in guest roles as complex villains, men of authority, danger, and deception. By the late 1960s, when he appeared in the series, he was in his early to mid-30s, already recognized in Hollywood for his ability to bring charm and menace into the same performance. His contributions to Mission Impossible were brief but memorable, showing why he was frequently cast as antagonists who could stand toe-to-toe with the IMF team. Outside the series, Enot worked prolifically in television and film. He appeared in shows like Perry Mason Bonanza, The Outer Limits, and The Virginian, while also taking on film roles in Madigan, 1968, and in Like Flint, 1967. He was ambitious not only as an actor, but also as a writer and director, having penned scripts and attempted to move behind the camera. However, Hollywood was not always kind to him. He faced frustrations when his projects were overlooked or never materialized, and he often felt trapped in typecasting as a villain. These struggles reflected a career filled with potential but hindered by industry limitations. In his personal life, Enot was married to actress Sally Carter, and they had one son together. Yet his family life was overshadowed by tragedy. On May 12, 1972, while attending the Cannes Film Festival in France, Steve Enot suddenly died of a heart attack. He was only 37 years old, a shocking and devastating loss to Hollywood, cutting short a career that might have blossomed into greater stardom. At the time of his death, his net worth was modest, likely in the range of several $100,000, a reflection of steady but not superstar-level success. His estate did not boast large real estate holdings, though he and his wife lived comfortably in Los Angeles. Unlike some of his contemporaries, he was not embroiled in scandals, but his untimely death itself became the greatest tragedy of his life story. Today, Steve Enot would have been in his 90s, perhaps celebrated as a seasoned veteran of stage and screen. Instead, he is remembered as a talented actor whose life ended too soon, leaving behind a legacy of intensity and promise that continues to resonate with fans of classic television. George Voskovec. Born Jiří Voskovec on June 19, 1905 in Sázava, Bohemia, now the Czech Republic, brought a distinctive European gravitas to his appearances in Mission Impossible, 1966, 1973. Known for his sharp intellect and cultured demeanor, he was often cast in guest roles as foreign leaders, diplomats, or intellectual villains characters who brought psychological complexity to the IMF's dangerous missions. By the time he appeared in the series in the late 1960s, Voskovec was already in his 60s, a veteran of stage and screen with decades of experience behind him. His performances lent an international sophistication to the show, drawing upon his background as both an émigré and a celebrated actor. Before Mission Impossible, Voskovec had already achieved fame in Europe as part of the satirical theater duo Voskovec and Verich in Prague, before emigrating to the United States in 1939 as World War II loomed. In America, he transitioned into film and television, appearing in classics like 12 Angry Men, 1957, where he portrayed the thoughtful and analytical juror Hash 11, and later roles in The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965, and The Cardinal, 1963. His international heritage often led to typecasting as the intellectual foreigner, sometimes a professor, sometimes a schemer, sometimes a sympathetic figure. Voskovec's life was not without turmoil. During the McCarthy era, he was briefly detained on Ellis Island for months as a suspected security risk due to his political beliefs, a humiliating and painful experience that scarred him personally and professionally. Though he was eventually cleared, this incident highlighted the mistrust immigrants often faced in mid-century America and marked a period of biographical tragedy in an otherwise illustrious career. In his personal life, George Voskovec was more private. He married twice and had 2 daughters, though family life was often overshadowed by his career and the displacement caused by war and exile. While he never accumulated the kind of fortune that Hollywood superstars did, his steady work in film, television, and theater allowed him a comfortable living. His net worth at the time of his death is estimated at around $1.2 million, reflective of a long but modest career. Voskovec died on July 1, 1981 in Pear Blossom, California, from a heart attack at the age of 76. His death marked the end of a remarkable journey from the theaters of Prague to the sound stages of Hollywood. Though his real estate holdings were modest, his true legacy lies in the artistic contributions he left behind, bridging European artistry with American storytelling. To this day, he is remembered not only as a gifted actor, but also as a man whose life story embodied exile, resilience, and cultural influence. Mark Leonard, born October 15, 1924 in Chicago, Illinois, carved out a career as one of Hollywood's most versatile character actors, remembered for his dignified, often intimidating presence. On Mission Impossible 1966, 1973, Leonard appeared in guest roles during the late 1960s when he was in his early to mid-40s. He frequently portrayed cold, calculating villains, foreign agents, military leaders, or powerful figures who posed serious threats to the IMF. His tall frame, deep voice, and piercing gaze gave his performances an intensity that made him unforgettable even in single-episode appearances. Before joining Mission Impossible, Leonard had built a strong reputation in television and film. His early credits included roles on Perry Mason Gunsmoke and Hogan's Heroes. He later gained iconic status in the world of science fiction, most notably for his role as Spock's father, Sarek, in Star Trek. This role, along with appearances in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, 1979, and Star Trek: The Search for Spock, 1984, cemented his place in pop culture. He also played a Romulan commander and a Klingon captain in the franchise, making him unique as an actor who embodied multiple alien races with equal believability. Leonard's career was steady, but it was not without challenges. Like many character actors, he often felt boxed in by typecasting cast as authority figures, villains, or intellectuals, with fewer opportunities to explore lighter or leading roles. This professional limitation was frustrating, but he overcame it by embracing his niche and excelling in it, earning the admiration of fans and colleagues alike. In his personal life, Leonard was more reserved. He married Anne Carolyn Bidlack in 1960, and the couple had 2 daughters. Their marriage endured, offering him stability in an industry known for turbulence. Financially, he lived comfortably but not extravagantly. At the height of his career, his net worth was estimated around $1. $2 million, reflecting steady work but not superstar wealth. Real estate-wise, he lived in Los Angeles, where he owned a modest but comfortable home rather than lavish estates. Sadly, Mark Leonard's life was cut short by illness. He died of multiple myeloma, a form of cancer, on November 22, 1996 in New York City at the age of 72. His passing was mourned by Star Trek fans and colleagues alike who remembered him as an actor of great sophistication and depth. Today, he is celebrated not only for his work in Mission Impossible, but especially for his enduring mark on science fiction, where he remains a beloved figure. Malachi Throne, born December 1, 1928 in New York City, was a gifted character actor whose commanding presence and versatile performances made him a natural fit for the tense and cerebral world of Mission Impossible, 1966-1973. On the series, Throne appeared in multiple guest roles during the late 1960s when he was in his late 30s. His ability to transform himself into cunning villains, foreign officials, or powerful masterminds made him a valuable addition to the show's roster of memorable adversaries. With his deep, gravelly voice and sharp features, he projected both authority and menace, an actor who could make even a single-episode character unforgettable. Throne's career extended far beyond Mission Impossible. He was known for his work in Batman 1966, where he played Falseface, as well as for his multiple roles in Star Trek, including the voice of the Keeper in the original pilot, the Cage and Commodore Jose Mendez in The Menagerie. He also appeared in Lost in Space: The $6 Million Man, Hogan's Heroes, and countless other television staples of the 1960s and 1970s. His career flourished in character parts, though this also brought frustrations like many actors of his type. He was typecast as villains or authority figures rarely given leading man opportunities. This limitation was both a blessing and a curse. It gave him steady work, but denied him the full recognition his talent deserved. Behind the screen, Throne faced personal struggles. While not plagued by sensational scandals, his life was not without hardship. He endured the instability of Hollywood periods when roles dried up and the disappointment of projects that never materialized. These struggles reflected the quiet, often invisible battles of working actors who spent decades in the industry without ever reaching household name status. Financially, Throne lived comfortably but modestly. By the later years of his life, his net worth was estimated at around $1 million, the product of steady but unspectacular earnings across television and film. He owned a home in Southern California where he lived with his family in relative privacy. He married twice and had children, balancing the demands of a career with the responsibilities of family life. Malachi Throne passed away on March 13, 2013, at the age of 84 from lung cancer. His death marked the end of a long, respectable career in which he became a beloved figure among fans of classic television. Today, he is remembered not only for his roles in Mission Impossible, but also as a versatile performer whose voice presence and intensity left a lasting impact on television history. Which character from Mission Impossible, 1966-1973, holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.